Hey gorgeous, welcome to Happy Go Fabulous. I am so thrilled that you're here. This is our space where we get real about life, the good, the messy and all the juicy bits in between. Real talk, real life and a whole lot of delicious living. But I must warn you, listening may cause unexpected outbreaks of fabulousness and real life magic. Hi, I'm Catherine and I am so incredibly passionate about helping inspired, motivated, impact-driven, freedom-seeking people just like you to do the deep inner work to create those beautiful outer wonders in life. It's all about revolutionising your relationship with yourself, where you fall madly, deeply in love with who you are and create a life so fabulous you can't wait to jump out of bed every morning to live it. Ready? Because ordinary living is so last season. Life's waiting and it's time to make it fabulous. Let's shimmy on in. Oh my gosh, I am really looking forward to today's podcast chat with the most gorgeous human, Emma Walkinshaw. And Emma just oozes love and, those beautiful feel-good vibes. I met Emma through a mutual business mentoring program, and I kind of feel that we're kindred spirits. We're both here to help women to live their best lives and to really love themselves through the journey. Emma is a body confidence coach. She's an accredited yoga instructor, a dynamic entrepreneur and an author, and with a deep passion for helping women in their 40s and 50s who struggle with the transitions of womanhood. Women who are feeling drained, disconnected from their bodies, and unsure how to navigate these changes. Through a whole range of beautiful modalities, including mindset work, movement practices like yoga and meditation, and her transformative coaching and amazing retreats, Emma takes women on journeys of self-love to help them bring back their spark and really embrace their true essence, and with the joy and confidence and reclaiming their sense of purpose. I really love, Emma is about challenging those outdated beauty standards so women can really embrace who they are as they are and not trying to fit that mold or expectations. So I'm so looking forward, Emma, to talking with you about all of that plus more. Welcome.
Thank you, Catherine. It's so lovely to be here. And I know that when you were on my podcast, so many beautiful listeners got back to me and said, oh, I loved your conversation because you are a raw, real woman. So I am so happy for our chat today.
Oh, me too. And for my listeners and viewers, Emma's podcast is Celebrate a Sister. And so we'll put the links in the show notes so you can follow along with Emma as well. Emma, where are you coming to us from today?
So I live on the gorgeous Gold Coast here in Queensland, and today is the most magnificent day, blue sky. We've had a lot of rain, but it's absolutely stunning, beautiful here. And the autumn is such a gorgeous time of year, I think anywhere, but today is pristine.
Oh my gosh. Were you affected by the cyclone? That's where the big cyclone recently came through, didn't it?
Yes, but as you know, I chuffed off to India hosting a retreat for women. So it was an interesting thing leaving the family. I felt like I was abandoning a sinking ship. I was like, all right, people, I'm out of here. I've got to get on a plane to India. Thankfully, everyone was safe and well, just, a fence down at the back, but otherwise everyone was safe, which was great.
Good. Yeah, because that was a big deal. And I was watching you because we're going to talk about your beautiful retreat in India. And I was watching that going, oh, my God, how would I feel if I was away from home? But I'm glad everybody was safe. And tell me, what stage of life are you in? Where are you in your journey of this life?
I am definitely the menopausal woman who has got two gorgeous grown-up children who have left home, which was a big surprise. Ruby, my gorgeous daughter, is 23 and Sunny, my boy, is 20, and they both left home within a couple of months of each other. And I just wasn't expecting it. I guess it's one of those things in motherhood where, of course, it's inevitable, but I kept thinking, they'll be 30 when they leave home. Meanwhile, they were quite young. So on a positive, my husband and I go, oh, we must have done a good job. They're independent. And then on the other hand, I wasn't prepared for the level of grief I have felt with children finishing school and leaving home. That has been, and this heart, and too, the word loneliness has been really interesting for me, even though I have a beautiful husband and very much still in a beautiful relationship and adore him. But it's funny, used to having, for 23 years, little other humans in the house. The other part of them leaving home, apart from the loneliness and the sadness, our relationship is definitely strengthened because I am not riding their ass about their messy rooms and do this and do that. So now when I see them, it's a beautiful connection and a chat. And I say to each time I catch up with Ruby and Sunny, we have family dinner once a week, and then I try and fit in a walk with each of them through the week because they've got dogs. And
so do they live close? Are they near? They're nearby?
Yeah. On the Gold Coast, which is fabulous. So I try and fit in a walk every other week with them. We walk the dogs and have a chat. But I feel like each time I connect with them, it's like a reintroducing to myself, to them, and like learning to know who they are now as adults, because they've got different, I'm not seeing them all the time. There's different influences. They both work at uni studying, and there's just a different relationship. But I walk away heart bursting with love and go, my goodness, they are just beautiful human beings. So it's been interesting this time in life.
The reason I'm nodding a lot is I can relate to that. My kids are a bit older. They're 29 and 27. And when they moved out of home, it was that same feeling. And it was that's when we were living in Canberra, and they were close by. So it was it was good. But do you know where a big transition for me was? When they were still living at home, but they weren't at school anymore. So they were working or at uni, but they were living at home, and it was just like, what's my relationship now? Because if they're sleeping in and they're going to be late for uni, that's not my responsibility. But they were and when they didn't unstack the dishwasher, but they were still at home, it's like, hey, come on. So there was a bit of reestablishing, and then they sort of moved out and moved back a couple of times. But when Henry moved to Melbourne, my heart just felt like it was being ripped out of, because it wasn't that able to just pop in and have a cuppa or something. So, and it really, I don't know if you found this, but it's kind of like, what's your role? The relationship changes, but when you've got grown kids or older adults as kids, like, what's the relationship? And it does shift, doesn't it?
It does. I often say how I feel like now, the relationship goes from mother-child to adult.
Yes.
And my children have called me Emma for years. Yes. So that's very normal. Yes. And I feel like now often I talk about that, what's a relationship? And I feel like exactly what you said, Catherine, about if they're late for work or uni, I don't have to get them up anymore because they're adults. And I feel like I went from manager to consultant. Now I just get consulted. Like I just breeze in as a consultant, whereas I used to be a manager.
That's really interesting, because my daughter's just moved back in. So she's been out and in and out and around, and she's back in, and it's beautiful. Like, I love it, but I love that analogy, manager to consultant, that it's, I think that's naturally how it's happened, but it also changes the relationship with my husband as well. Like, it was a bit of like, when the kids moved out of home, it was like, got to get to know you again differently. So that's been lovely too.
Yeah, it is beautiful, isn't it? And this sense of freedom too, I really enjoyed. Yeah. And I also, the other thing, I mean, there's been a lot of sadness and grief, but there's been, there's always a silver lining. Yeah. I actually love having the house to myself.
Yes.
So like if Brendan's out, husband's, at work or at the office till late or whatever, I actually quite love have it. And I love getting up in the morning and the kitchen is still the same. It's clean.
I found, because, we've just moved to this beautiful seaside sanctuary, and so it was John and I, and my daughter was living around the corner, and Henry's in Melbourne. So Elle would come and she'd stay a couple of nights a week, and then she'd go back home, and then that lease ended. So she's moved back in, but it was just when John and I had kind of got the house I was like, oh, this is feeling good. And then she's just gone, oh, Mum, where am I going to put all my stuff? It's like, oh. Sorry, Elle, if you're listening, I love you here.
Love you, Elle.
But it is, that's part of it, isn't it? And it's for me, it's about that ongoing relationship. It's the ebbs and flows, and it's just part of life and family.
The cycle of life, yes.
Cycle of life. Tell me, Emma, you're a body confidence coach. What sparked your passion for body confidence and guiding women through this kind of transformation? I know you do a whole lot of stuff, but sort of with that, what sparked the body confidence?
I feel there was a pivotal moment or a defining moment that really pushed me into uncovering and really getting curious and wanting to know, what is this part of my own journey that's incredibly painful that now it's time to look at it. So as a woman, like many of us probably listening, who have grown up, perhaps born in the 70s, late 60s, or born in the 70s. I'm a 76 baby, so I'm now 49. And then coming through the diet culture that perhaps a lot of our mothers and grandmothers and aunties practiced, and coming through the age of the Clio, the Cosmopolitan, the Dolly, the New Idea, the Woman's Day, where we were very much fed a very strong narrative that a woman over the size of 10 or size 12, a size 12 woman was a larger woman.
Yeah.
And then growing up and realizing that each time I got a Dolly or a Girlfriend or Cosmopolitan magazine, how terrible I would feel about myself, because I certainly didn't look like one of those women. And then my beautiful mother, who only now that I've gotten older, Mum and I have discussed a lot of this. Mum took me to Jenny Craig, I think at 14, Weight Watchers at 16. Yeah. And I've said to Mum, and Mum's always been a very thin woman, and I said to, and I'm very different shape to her, like completely different. I've always been curvaceous and always, you could say, carried a bit more weight than the average woman. Yeah. And I remember saying to Mum as a grown woman, Mum, why did you take me to Weight Watchers? Because I kind of went through this period where I blamed Mum and said, well, Mum, had me on a diet. And she said, Emma, I just wanted you to be happy. She said, you were so unhappy with your body. I just wanted you to be happy, and I would do anything to do that. But what that then did for me was start a very strong cycle of yo-yo dieting and giving my power away, which I wholeheartedly believe that the diet culture feeds us a line that give your power away because you can't be trusted with your body. And the diet culture is born on the premise that I'm going to set you up to fail. I'm going to give you the most ridiculous regime and diet that is actually unsustainable and unattainable. You'll have some wins, but you're not going to be able to hold this level of craziness. And through my years of dieting, I realized when I've always had a very strong practice of yoga. I started yoga in my 20s, but then in my late 30s, had a really strong practice of yoga, loved my yoga. And I would never describe myself as a sporty person, but I just really love the spiritual connection of yoga. So I decided to study yoga, the 200-hour yoga teacher practitioner course, but knowing that I was never ever going to be a teacher, because in my mind, how could I stand in front of a room of people and teach yoga in a size 14, size 16 body? I don't look like a yoga teacher. However, what I loved about yoga was the philosophy. So during this 200-hour yoga teacher training, this was the pivotal moment. So I was starting to get a connection with my body and starting to really own my body and trust my body again, because I have a lovely yoga practice. No, I don't do headstands, and I'm not a pretzel. However, I was learning to heal. There's a beautiful saying, yoga heals and reveals. So there was this beautiful process of healing through the yoga teacher training and thinking about the yoga philosophy. And, a lot of the yoga philosophies, for instance, ahimsa is all about self-kindness. We go through lots of philosophies, the law of non-attachment, so not being attached to your body. And I started this beautiful unraveling, and I had an incredible yoga teacher who said to me, Emma, at the end of the yoga teacher training, you're going to teach me, because she had a studio. You're going to teach me, aren't you? And I said, absolutely not. And she said, you're going to teach me? I said, absolutely not. I finished my 200 yoga practitioner course, she rings me and says, I've had a teacher not show up. Will you go and teach? And I went, yes. So I ended up on the mat, which was pivotal because to that point in time, and also her belief in me to be able to teach and to facilitate and instruct a yoga class, because there's so many other elements to it. Those of the ladies who are listening, if you've experienced yoga, which I'm assuming you have, I guess we're preaching to the converted here.
I think so.
But we know that yoga is really a feeling when you leave. It is not an exercise class, although it's incredibly wonderful for our bodies, but it's a feeling. So I taught that yoga class, and then, let's say the rest was history. I started to teach yoga, and I taught for my teacher for around a year. And then I, as we do, woke up with a brain fart and said, I'm going to open a yoga studio. And I did. Wow. So I had the first yoga studio, which was just a room. And then 2 years later, I doubled the size of the studio and brought in reformer Pilates.
Wow.
And then, so I had the studio for 4 years. But during that time, so the process of myself, and it wasn't overnight, it was a slow process, but the pivotal moment had happened, which was, it's okay for you to be a size 14 and 16 or 16 and actually step on the mat. Because in some part of me growing up in the 80s and 90s thought that my body weight and my size equaled my worth. And then I started to realize that that was not the case. And then getting into body confidence coach. So during that time, I'd already become a life coach, and I was doing general coaching, running workshops at the studio, but I hadn't actually found my little niche until women started to come. Every woman that would come into the yoga studio, firstly, it takes a lot of courage to step into a studio or a gym, because if you already have really low self-confidence, a disconnection with your body, you tend to think that you don't belong there. Just like I thought I didn't belong at the front of a class teaching. And then I would hear women come in, and the narrative would be they would start to apologize for their body. They would say, oh, I'm sorry, Emma, I've put on a bit of weight, or I'm not that flexible, I'm not really good at yoga. And I started to think, why is it that women, firstly, we know women naturally say sorry all the time for things that they didn't do, but this constant apology for our body, this constant what would we say? A lot of women just diss their body, and it's just never good enough. And that had been my story for so long. And I thought, this has been such a silent torture for me. I am a smart woman. How is it that I still haven't been able to crack this relationship with my body? So the beautiful journey of being a life coach, really starting to explore about the diet culture and how this narrative to women particularly, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen to men, but I work with women, and saying that this whole diet culture in this wellness industry is a load of BS, and I choose no longer to play this game. For so many years, I had thrown money at every diet regime, personal trainer, this, that, under the sun, because I didn't believe that I could be trusted to feed myself, to look after myself. But what happened in that was giving the power away, it never empowered me. So for me, yoga, and it could be anything for anyone, but for me, yoga was my pivotal, and having someone that believed in me, and then just listening to other women and going, goodness gracious, we've really had a number done on us. We've been fed a lie, sold so much BS, no more. So that was how I stepped forward into this.
God, I've got so much I want to unpack with you. What I'm going to go, thank you for sharing that. I can see a lot of parallels there. So you just said then yoga was sort of your pivotal point. For others, it might be something else. Mine was when somebody believed in me in the workplace, when I got offered an opportunity that I was just like, oh gosh. And it opened up so much more about training and teaching and learning about psychology. So the journey was about having an opportunity and saying yes to an opportunity, following sort of that calling, that the things that you're interested in, having somebody. Often we don't see in ourselves what other people can see. And I think the beauty of you being a coach and reflecting back to people what they can see, I find that with a lot of the women that I work with as well, they don't believe, they've come from that journey, the limiting beliefs that they can't see that possibility for themselves. So having somebody see a belief like believing in you. And then your own healing through that as well has sort of led you to help others to heal and to grow. So my little bit of advice would be to anybody who's listening that has an inkling within themselves that they're wanting to do something, just follow the step and, you know, to do the thing, because it will lead you somewhere, and to really trust yourself. And I can relate to so much of what you were saying about that, you know, relationship with our body. After Mum passed away, we didn't, there was no counselling or anything. So the way that I dealt with that was to eat, you know, to get comfort through food. And I think a lot of women relate to that as well. It's about that comfort. How do we get comfort? And often it's through food or some sort of, you know, shopping or something external to us. So I ended up putting on a lot of weight, and I was okay with that. I didn't love it, but I got bullied at school. I got very badly bullied at school, but I was kind of, I don't know, it was a bit of a blur. But when I was in my early adulthood, when I was working, there was one guy that said to me, and it was when I was learning a different personality profiling tool. And he said, Catherine, you are a really big woman. You're a big woman. This is an old, big guy, middle-aged, white guy. They said, Catherine, you're really big. Like you intimidate people. You've got a big personality, but you're physically really big. So what you need to do is to make yourself small. So when you walk into a room, you need to not stand up because you're too big for people. So you need to sit down. And I'm going, what do you mean? Like I'm learning to be a facilitator and a trainer. Like that doesn't make sense. Why would I be sitting down? He said, you're too big. He said, you need to make yourself, your personality smaller, and you physically need to be smaller. And I'm just going, and I would have been probably, Emma, 26 at this stage. And I'm just going, oh, and the words he said is you intimidate people because you're big. So you need to make yourself small. And when you talked about giving away power, holy dooly, that was, I mean, I have done a lot of work around that version of me, but giving away power to somebody. So others, you know, when we're, oh gosh, words are just so powerful, aren't they?
Yeah.
The positive, but also the impact that they can have on us. And when you said a lot of women come to you with that, their own stories of stuff, disempowering. Yeah, it's shitty.
And I
isn't
feel
it?
that's the thing, is to uncover those stories or those comments that were said to us about our body. And there needs to be some healing around that, because that was one person's perspective.
Yeah.
And as we know, often people are really talking about themselves, not really you. It's their own paradigm. But we don't know that at the time, and it's really, really hurtful.
Yeah, yeah.
But when we can become rock solid in ourselves, but that's a process.
So what's the process? What is part of that process? Because there will be women that will be listening that go, oh, I've got my version of that. You know, you and it's what we take away as well. Now, that's my version of what he said, but I put the meaning on it to keep myself small. And that's just impacted a whole lot of stuff. That impacted the whole diet. That was like far out. I really need to restrict. I need to deprive. I need to contain myself, and physically, but energetically, and in so many areas of life. So what are some of the other stories that what other versions do women have, or what do you find when they
Gosh, I've heard so many stories, but it's always outside of themselves. Someone has said something to them. Often although having said that, our inner critic's pretty nasty too.
She's pretty,
So sometimes it can come outside of ourselves, but sometimes it's us. Something that will be said that will just have us take on that belief system and believe that it's true. And often it can be really well-meaning. From a personal story, often we were given, and this is a process I go in the Body Love Boot Camp, often we were given a nickname, because in Australia it's very, very common for us all to have a nickname. A lot of us were given a nickname that was perhaps associated to our body or how we looked.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, and like around 4, it was when the Muppets, do you remember the show, The Muppets with Kermit the Frog? And yeah. So when I was little, my uncle used to call me Miss Piggy. So I always thought I was Miss Piggy because, of course, I must have been like a little fatty and a piggy. And it wasn't until years later I actually asked my uncle and my auntie actually and said, why did he call me Miss Piggy? And she said, because you used to have your hair in pigtails and Miss Piggy used to always flick her pigtails and you used to always flick your pigtails. But I didn't know that. Yeah. I thought I was called Miss Piggy because I was a little fatty, which I wasn't even a little fat child. I was not even a fat child. But it was just interesting how things can be said to us and they completely take on a life of their own.
Yeah.
So undoing that and unpacking that and talking about it, because often it's a silent torture. We will just go, that will stay in us and we will have this, a thought. I love the saying, a belief is a thought we keep thinking. So we will have a thought, we will keep thinking it, and then it will become a belief for us.
Yeah.
And it could be a belief like this. And I will even say another belief that I had at size 14. I'm a big woman. Yeah. The truth is a 14 to 16 size woman is the average size of a woman in Australia. And it's actually technically not a big woman, it's a mid-size woman. Yeah. However, a thought I kept thinking was I'm a big woman. Yeah. So the belief system became I'm a big woman. In actual fact, no, I'm a mid-size woman. I mean, does it really matter what I am labelled or what I'm not? But it matters to me because big woman to me means that it meant a whole other things. Then that belief played into so others. So for our women listening who have got a similar story to you and I, and there are lots of them, can you start to ask the question, is it true? And this thought, what have I made that mean? Yeah. What have I made that mean? Is that true? Can I be sure it's true? And start to really unpack it. And particularly also if you have had a nickname or someone has made a passing comment, question them. Yeah. It's also really tricky and confronting too because it's really painful and we feel shame. Yeah. Shame comes up big time.
Shame's a big one, isn't it?
Particularly around our bodies. Yeah, so much shame.
Oh, do you know what? It is about that meaning. I love when you're talking about is it true? Yeah. And what evidence, that evidence stacking and looking for the evidence. Is it ours or are we picking up on somebody else's version of the world as well? And is that true for us? And also about what meaning are we putting on it? And often, I know I certainly did, was I'm not a very good person. If I'm intimidating, if I'm big, associating big with strong and powerful, power over, it was just like, oh, that's not a good thing. Like it's bad to be big. And when you think about it too, it's about those images. I saw myself as I was probably 16, a size 16. And you sort of have these visions that, oh, that's really big. And then when you look back at photos going, actually it's not. So it's a distorted view as well, isn't it? We get distorted through. And there's no right or wrong. There's no blame. I don't think it's about recognising what is. And like you said, the silent just impact that it has on us. There will be so many women. I know there are. There are lots of women in my personal circle that will just go, yep, that's me, that's me, that's me. So what does it mean? Also, what are some other tips what are some of your really hot tips for women who are experiencing this?
You just brought up another great point around the circle of friends we're with. Yeah. If we are in a circle of friends that are constantly talking about diet, restriction, deprive, and it just is their narrative, it's so boring and so unhelpful because, again, it just perpetuates this narrative that you are worth your weight. And if you are not here in our friendship group talking about the next diet that you're on, why aren't you? Because you really should be doing something about it. So I love the beautiful rule when we are with our friends is we don't talk about that boring topic.
Perfect.
of dieting or weight loss drugs or the next injection, because it's really, really boring. Yeah. Also, it's not okay for all of us to comment on the size of each other's body, lost weight, haven't lost weight. Yeah. And so many of us, it is that we've all got that friend that the minute you see them, they want to comment, have you lost weight? But the thing is with that, if that's what we're going to talk about, does that mean when you come in, they say you've put on weight? And some people will say that, you've put on weight. Doesn't matter. And I love that, the thing too. Don't you know that I'm already going through a little silent torture here? Don't you think I know that? Yeah. But I feel if we can.
I had somebody the other day who's not my inner circle, but the medium circle.
Yeah.
And she said, if you only do blah, 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 you'll lose all that weight off your hips. And I'm just like, number one, don't dare comment on my body. Who do you think you are in just offering that advice? And I didn't say this to her, but my inside voice was like, get effed. Yeah. That is not okay to even be,
Yeah.
That was just unsolicited crap.
Yeah. It's advice. Yeah. I don't need your advice because you probably heard it on Instagram or TikTok, which we know 2% of
thinks.
It's the diet culture, it's the wellness industry. And unfortunately, as much as I am a yoga teacher and I love the wellness industry, unfortunately, the wellness industry has done a number on us as well and wrapped it in a lovely green smoothie. Yeah. But it's all BS. And I feel when we are hearing this narrative around friends, so it's okay to say to your friends, have a real honest conversation with them and say, I don't know if you know this, but I have an inner battle around my body image and it really rocks my self-confidence. So I don't know if you can do this, but I'd really love if you could just not talk about that around me because I just find it really brings some stuff up into me. I am working through it. And I am starting to take my power back, but I'm a little bit shaky around this topic. So I just love if we didn't go there. And also I find it really boring.
Yeah. Love.
Like it's okay to just kind of say it.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's almost like normalizing it, isn't it? One of the things you said earlier, which really stuck out for me, was I choose to no longer engage. And the words about I choose, that's taking your power back. That's that's standing in your power.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I choose to
I made a declaration a couple of years ago to never, ever go on a diet again.
Yeah.
That does not mean, but let's not mistake in that I will not take care of myself and I will not be conscious about my wellness and my well-being. But I choose not to be hook, line and sinker into thin thighs in 30 days bullshit anymore. Yeah. I cannot do it. I have no more diet fight left in me. I am more than happy to take care of myself. Movement is really important to me because it feels really good. Eating well is wonderful for my energy levels and clarity of my mind, my skin and my eyes. There's so many other benefits, but it's not driven from a place that says I have to lose 5 kilos in a month. I threw out my scales because I know from the clothing in my wardrobe how I'm tracking. Yeah. I also know that I have been many different sizes and will be for the rest of my life. I am in flux and flow. Sometimes the rings on my hands are a little bit tighter because I'm holding a little bit more fluid. Maybe I need to just up my water, but I do not need to hand my power away. I do not need scales to take me down the drain. Even around shopping. How many of us have gone out shopping and in one store put a dress on that's a size small, and another dress shop put a dress on that's an extra large? Yeah. We can't even trust sizing anymore. So forget even what the size is. Just have a look and go, I think that this is my shape and I think this is going to fit my body. Size really, that has been weaponized against us. This whole sizing thing. So if we do go shopping, because that's another thing for women I find, you can be taken out emotionally in the first shop you step into when you go into that change room. So I would love the women to all just feel into that and go, it's actually not your body. It's the garment. It's just not for you. Choose another garment.
Yeah.
Because there will be one that fits your body beautifully, because your body is perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I feel that's where we've been, again, sold and told a lie. It's all about the number on the scale. And as we know, BMI is now a load of bull.
Yeah.
Like, that's now been blown out the water, because that was also used how many times in our life to again tell us that we're not good enough. Also, going to the GP, we've given our power away a lot to GPs and all just doctors in general. And I don't know about you, but I've heard stories of women going into the doctor and the first thing they say to them is get on the scale. They could be in there for a sore elbow and they go, because you're overweight. They could be in there because they stubbed their toe because you're overweight. They could be there. Now, health is very different to being in a bigger body and still being really well. Because we also know the truth now is that you can be in a larger body and still be really, really well and healthy. You can be in a smaller body and be well and healthy. You can be in a small body, be unhealthy, large body, unhealthy. It is not necessarily the only marker. Yeah. There are so many other markers, but for a long time, anyone with a little bit of weight has been told that straight up, that's why. That's your problem.
Yeah. Yes, it's a weight issue and it's a meaning. Yeah. It's almost like a correlation.
It is.
If you're carrying excess weight, then that equates to a health issue or something. Yeah. It's just like that is just not even a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be some things associated with that, but it's not dependent on the weight.
Yeah. And only you know.
Yeah.
You are the master of your own domain, and you know yourself when you haven't been moving as regularly and you know that you don't feel so good about yourself, or you haven't been eating enough fruit and veg that make you feel really great. And it's coming back to, I love the notion of intuitive eating, although I'm still not quite sold on it.
What is intuitive eating? Tell us. What is that?
Yes. So intuitive eating is when you eat what you want when you want, and you tap into that part of yourself that really tunes what do I feel like and what am I craving. The whole premise is because your body knows what it needs. Yeah. A lot of people freak out at that and go, oh my gosh, but I would just feel like chocolate all day. Well, if you would, you're not really listening to your body. It's not intuitive eating. You're perhaps playing into foods, my friend, or this is an emotional, and that's where the work is. The only tricky thing I feel about intuitive eating is that we now live in a world where there is so much processed food. Yes. And as we know, processed food changes the chemicals in our brain. And there is a real thing such as moreish. It's moreish. And there are companies out there that have spent millions of dollars getting the crunch and the salt and the sugar right that you literally can't stop.
Coming back,
Yeah. So if we are to embark on this intuitive eating, I feel like it is really worthwhile living a pretty process-free life, which isn't always easy in the world that we live in. So the intuitive eating thing is, if we really feel into it, we actually do know what we need.
Yeah.
It just takes a bit of tender, loving care and time to actually nurture that, because our nervous system too, often we haven't afforded ourselves the time to prepare a better meal.
I would agree. I'm just, when you're saying that, I think I am learning to be an intuitive eater.
Yeah.
That my body, when I really listen to it, I think it generally knows what it wants and what things trigger discomfort in me and inflammation. And I get very sinusy, and it's just like, okay, I think it is that when I avoid that sort of food, then I feel better. And I've kind of got out of the habit a little bit. We've been in maybe the last 6 weeks, there's just been a whole lot of stuff going on, and I've got out of the habit, and it's that convenience stuff. It's just like, it's easy to grab stuff that I wouldn't normally eat, but it's been there, and I can feel that my body is now craving, like you said, that moreish. It's craving the things that I know are not good for me. So it's about that mindset. And I know you do a lot of work with mindset and movement. And so it's about working with my mind again. And the way I need to do that is almost like a bit of a reset, going, okay, we're going away for a few days to visit Henry down in Melbourne. But when I come back, I'm really going to get back into, not strict, not depriving myself, but just to get back into the healthiness of the routine that my body needs. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel the mindset part, I always say there's a bit of a combo for us to live a well life and have a great relationship with our body and ourselves. And it's mindset, meditation and movement. So yes, the mindset is so important, but so is movement, because movement makes us feel so good and trusts our body again.
Yes.
And we really get into our body, because often we're disconnected. And then the meditation part is all about listening to our intuition. So, or your voice of wisdom, because that is the part of us that actually does guide us to what we need. And we all know this feeling. To the women listening, I bet we all know this feeling. You get this urge in the afternoon or in the morning to go, I just have to put my runners on and go for a walk. And right there in that moment, that is your beautiful voice of wisdom saying to you, I want you to move me, because I want to talk to you while you're on your walk. Our intuition loves when we disconnect from the devices and from the to-do list, put our runners on, and sometimes it's just a 10-minute walk or a 30-minute walk. Or how many times do you set out? I do this all the time. I set out for a 10-minute walk with the dog. Meanwhile, I'm gone for 30 minutes because it feels so good. And that is the bit that meditation, if we can just stop and just set, and I know that you have a really strong morning practice too, Catherine. You and I are both big advocates of this. And it's in those moments when we quiet our mind that our intuition or our voice of wisdom has a moment to speak to us. And often it's not the whole bakery. It's usually just a crumb, a little slice of the cake. It's not usually the whole big story, but it might just be pop your runners on and do another lap. Or I love to get in the ocean. I'm beautiful. I love to get in the ocean, even cold water this time of year. And my intuition says cold water is good for you. It's okay. Get in the ocean. The ocean's still quite warm here now, but I know getting into autumn, the water will be cold, but my intuition will say, it's okay. You're safe. Cold water is really good for you. You need a bit of cold water.
So my intuition just goes, don't do it. It's going to kill you. Don't go in that cold water.
No, that's Catherine. That's not your voice of wisdom. That's your voice of judgment.
You do 21 minutes of morning magic, don't you?
I do. So that is because I make it so easy and attainable. So I just do 7 minutes of yoga, 7 minutes of meditation, and 7 minutes of flowetry. And I've actually, Catherine, shameless plug, written a book.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a daily guide, which just has pretty much a theme for each day. And the whole idea is I know that if I'm to get up in the morning and try and meditate straight away, I get too sleepy, like I feel like I'm going to nod off again. So what I know about yoga, just 7 minutes of yoga just ignites those energy centers, gets us alert, and often feels really good after you've slumbered all night, just to really get that body limber. Then we're able to sit and meditate. And in that meditation, I always just give a daily mantra. An I am statement might be I am present, I am love, whatever it is, just when the thoughts wander, just to anchor us back to the moment. And then that's a great way to listen to this intuition. And then the last part is flowetry, which is journaling, but I say flowetry because I'm a bit of a romantic. And it's just a daily thing, because a lot of people would say to me, I want to journal, but I don't know what to journal about. So I just, in the book, have a very simple prompt. And often I go, if the prompt doesn't feel right, just free write. But this is a chance where this whole idea of coming back home and having a better relationship with our body and ourselves, 21 minutes. I mean, if you can afford longer, if you can do an hour, if you can do 30 minutes, great. But it doesn't even have to be 21 minutes. It can be 7 minutes. But taking that little bit of time just to reconnect in with yourself. Otherwise, we spend our day giving our power away. We wake up, we look at our emails, we look at the news, we start our to-do list, and our nervous system is blown out before we've even cleaned our teeth.
Yeah.
It's time just to that coming back home.
Yeah. Emma, we'll put the details of your book. People can order that, can't they?
They can, yes.
We'll put that in the show notes. So 365 days of morning magic. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. And I want to ask you, I just wanted to share with you, old habits can come in, can't they? I'm finding right in this very todayness, there's something that's happened that has been a bit, let's just say, shitty. It's been not a very nice experience. And I just went last night. It happened yesterday. I went last night I need to eat some chocolate. I need to eat carbs that I don't normally. I know that they make me feel a bit icky. And then I went, oh, this is the 12-year-old Catherine that is dealing with her emotions with food. And I went, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to break that habit of going to food to help me when I'm feeling wobbly. And I just stopped and I waited. I went and had a little break, and then I went back and I ate some of what I was going to, not all of what I was going to, because I then didn't want to go, oh, it was a bit of mindset stuff going on, but it was that I'm choosing not to use food as a crutch as much as I used to. So it's interesting just how, lots of work, it can still just bubble up, can't it? Do you find that or not? Do you find
absolutely.
that?
I found this January, old Emma wanting to get on a diet. And I vowed that I would never do a diet again. It's almost like, how we have muscle memory when we go back to the gym and we go to yoga and whatever. Yeah. It is almost like a narrative that creeps, and it's like muscle memory. It's January. Oh my gosh, whip yourself into shape. You've blown out over Christmas. You've had this fat old time. Whip yourself into shape. Get on the diet. And I'm like, no, we do not do that. We are loving, kind and gentle. And we don't do that because it doesn't work. Because here's the other thing that I also know about diets, but back to just that beautiful self-inquiry yesterday and acknowledging ourselves. And it's okay to question. And you know what? Even if our answer still is to go and eat the chocolate, at least we did it consciously.
Yes, yes. And I went, and it was like I still feel like it, but it was coming from a different level than just automatic self-soothing. Yeah.
Because we can eat the chocolate and beat ourselves up, or we can eat the chocolate and go, do you know what? No, I actually needed that right then. And that's the whole thing here, because that's what the diet culture has told us. Bad food, naughty, you're wrong, shamefully eat, hide it, don't be open about it.
Yeah. Actually, what I did, I'm just reflecting on what I did. I went, you know what? I am feeling really shitty about what happened. I'm feeling the emotions. I'm not just doing that automatic eating. It was just like, I am feeling the emotions, and I'm recognizing that pattern, that it's that automatic go-to. So it was almost like a little bit of a, what do they call it? Circuit breaker. There was a little bit of a circuit breaker there. I am going to change tack. Tell me about your beautiful, beautiful retreats in India. Oh my God, I just want to, this is going to be a longer podcast ep, everybody, but we need to hear about India.
Yes, India is most definitely an incredible place. And I find with India, it's quite polarizing. It's either a hell yes or a hell no. And I can imagine a lot of people right now going, oh gosh, India, and other people going, oh my gosh, India. And that's been the interesting thing, because I've had people come on the retreat that actually used to think, oh no, India, then see the photos and see the miraculous journey we go on and go, oh, India. So I co-facilitate India retreats with my dear friend Yogi Louis. So we're both yoga teachers, and I do a lot of my business, my coaching one-on-one, my group work is just me, but it's lovely to co-facilitate. And Yogi Louis is just an incredible woman, and together for 12 days we host our retreats. So the beautiful retreat is a mix of, we do the Golden Triangle, which is quite a classic route in India, but we also add on Rishikesh, which is phenomenal. So in this beautiful wholehearted retreat, we call it, we take women away. So we just got back in March and we took 13 women away. Oh, excuse me, including us. There's 13 of us. And we start off in the gorgeous Delhi, which is the capital of India, which is just divine, and do the spice markets and a cooking class, which is wonderful. Our retreats are, yes, the sights and sounds of India, but we also do workshops. Yogi Louis and I both run workshops, and we also have yoga and a morning satna. So it's a very much a spiritual journey. Mostly women come, the feedback that I get, the women just go, oh my goodness, such a beautiful experience of connection with like-minded women. And just the whole journey together, the camaraderie, I guess you could say, and women women love to hang out with women. We love to connect. We love to journey the spiritual side of India. So we start in Delhi, then we head to the beautiful Jaipur, which is where a lot of the block printing, we do some gorgeous block printing. And Jaipur is known as the Pink City, which is this gorgeous terracotta pink. And we spend some time there, which I love. We did a Bollywood dance class, which the laughter, like tears running down our face, like so much fun. And then from there, we head to the beautiful Agra, of course, the Taj Mahal, which is just an incredible place as well. And yes, she's equally as gorgeous as one might think. And then we go to Rishikesh, and Rishikesh is actually where yoga was born. So there's an ashram there, and it's at the foot of the Himalayas, so that has another incredibly beautiful vibe. It's right on the river Ganges, the Mother Ganga. So the energy and the spiritual connection in this place is phenomenal. We do Holi there, which is the colour throwing and like their New Year's Eve. Yeah. And we do a beautiful arty festival. But the 12 days in India is nothing short of miraculous. It is just incredible. And my heart just bursts with just love. This time when I got back, I've actually missed all the ladies terribly. So we all caught up for yoga a couple of Sunday mornings ago, and then we've got dinner at my house. We've got an India-themed dinner at my place in a few weeks. So the connection of women, and often in midlife we say, where do I find my people? Where do I find my women? I feel like it's in, well, for me, yoga or sound healing, like you've got this beautiful sound healing, retreats. How do we connect with women? But getting with like-minded women that don't sit around talking about what size are your pants or your dress, that actually connect into that heart center. What's it all about? It's about connection and experiences and talking about things that just light your heart up. I feel that's what I really love about our wholehearted retreats. So India is where we've held one in Byron Bay as well. Yogi Lou and I have done one in Byron, but India, we have another one in the south of India in November this year in Kerala, which is this gorgeous, it's a land of the coconuts, and we're at this gorgeous, Ayurveda is really big in India too. Isn't it gorgeous? So just a beautiful modality when it comes to the food. So eating, those who haven't heard of Ayurveda, in India, it's like a methodology that you follow for your body type and your nervous system. Yeah. So then you eat foods that support that. You do practices. Yoga's very big. And when I say yoga, I'm certainly not talking the yoga that we've seen on Instagram where young people are like pretzels and have got these dancer bodies. I'm talking the integrity and the wholesomeness of yoga that is about connecting to yourself. It's between you and you on the mat. Yes, movement is a beautiful thing, and it is really that deep connection to self, as well as yoga means union, as well as practicing with other women in the room where we breathe and we move together, but in a real unity and in a wholeness, and having these beautiful conversations that are heart to heart that are meaningful, I want to say. So that is very much our vibe of our retreats, which are just gorgeous. And the women that come on it are often, and this has been my story, my husband didn't have a desire to come to India, although I did get him to meet me this time. He's actually come to India because he goes, you've been to India now so many times. He goes, I just really want to come now. And I said, fancy that. So after the retreat, he come and joined me this retreat, and he loved it. So a lot of the women say it's kind of one of those retreats where their husbands aren't necessarily interested in coming to India, so they like to connect in with the women. We've had so many mother-daughter duos come to, which has been really beautiful.
That would be so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been gorgeous, but that's the wholehearted retreat. So India really is just a spectacular country of beauty and polarity. You have got gorgeous wealth on one hand and absolutely not on the other hand. It is, very soulful though, very, very soulful.
And I think the beauty of your retreats are they're guided, like you're holding the group's hands and taking them. So I know solo travelers, some people like to do that, but the sound of a retreat, for the listeners, if you can just feel the energy from Emma, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So cool.
It is gorgeous. So, yes,
you've got one in November.
November, and then again March 2026. So we'll do the Golden Triangle again in 2026 March, or end of February it is March. Yeah. So I've just opened the expression of interest list at the moment, the wait list. But wait list doesn't mean it's full. It means the wait list is open until, because we're working on the itinerary at the moment, but we're getting there. So, yeah.
So how many have you done now? You've done a few.
So I have been to India 3 times now. So we've done 2 Golden Triangle. Yeah. This will be our 3rd in November, and then our 4th will be next year. Yeah.
Wow. No. What a beautiful, beautiful conversation, Emma. We could talk for ever and ever and ever. What's lighting you up in life right now? What's
lighting me up?
Aside from all the things that you've talked about that you've been doing.
What's lighting me up right now? Well, I have been, and you see my reel yesterday, I've been dabbling a little bit of fashion styling stuff. And actually, when I was in India, a dress company had sent me a dress and said, are you happy to wear this in India and just tag us? And I said, of course, I'd love to. So, and there's a beautiful local dress shop. So that's been lighting me up. And I feel like, you and I spoke before we hit record, and I feel like at this stage in life, I just do what makes my heart sing, and anything that supports body love, body acceptance is absolutely there. So whether it be fashion, working with dress stores, and particularly my local dress store, wearing fashion that makes you feel really good as a curvy woman, as a woman that's size 14 to 16, probably more on the 16 side now, that makes my heart sing and lights me up. Of course, my yoga practice, my 21 minutes of morning magic. I've got a beautiful group where everyone gather in the morning magic. Coaching women, I've got a group program, the Embodied Woman. So I guess and podcasting, I think all of that lights me up, is working with women, going on retreats, doing what I love is incredibly gratifying. Anything that elevates women, I'm there for it.
Yeah. Gosh, I love that so much, and you can feel it from your energy. Mm-hmm. Emma is definitely embodying her message that I loved that reel that you did when you were just showcasing just a little styling tip, and it was really cool. It's just like, oh my gosh, it was a clear belt that you popped on that you could wear over a dress that was patterned, and I'm like, what a fantastic idea. And I think sometimes we overcomplicate things, like bringing things back to simple, like doable tips. Love it. Love, love, love. Oh, Emma, this has just been so beautiful. So I will put your details in the show notes where people can find you. Just tell us quickly on Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Instagram's probably the best spot. So Emma_Walkinshaw is probably the best place to find me. And then the links are always there to the website. But that's probably the best place. And I love Instagram. I love connecting with people on Instagram. I think it's such a great platform.
Yeah, so follow Emma and the Body Love Boot Camp. That's one of your programs that people can join, and you've got a whole lot of other things. So we'll have those details in the show notes for everybody. So thank you. Thank you. Big love.
Thank you, Catherine. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thanks for tuning in to Happy Go Fabulous. I hope you loved it. If you did, could I ask a big favour? Please subscribe, leave a review, and most importantly, share the love and let your besties know about the podcast. This will help get it into the hearts and ears of all the gorgeous souls who need a little bit of fabulous in their life. If you'd like some more high vibe happiness in your life, come and visit me on my Happiness Hive socials, and make sure you've signed up to my newsletter, your weekly drop of juicy goodness. Pop over to my Happiness Hive website and click on the link Working with Catherine. I'd love to help you make life amazing. Until next time, keep being fabulous.